Video games. One controller, one screen. It's all we've ever needed. And at the end of the day, it's all we wind up playing with. But since the 80s and 90s, video game companies have tried to milk us dry with these ridiculous accessories. And all of these ridiculous accessories died the death they truly deserved. And this is because they were all outlived by the simple and humble controller. I don't care which controller you use, be this or a Joy-Con, how can you perfect perfection? And even since video game companies had some more common sense, motion controls, 3D TVs, and Portal games all came and went because they were just fads. But there is one thing that refuses to go away, and that is VR gaming. More specifically, PlayStation's attempt at VR gaming, because me and my friends like to go outside and have a social life, so I don't know any of the gremlins that have a PC VR headset. The PlayStation VR 2 follows a long and distinguished line of Sony flops when they tried to do anything except a regular console. The last good idea they had was the PSP, and that's probably older than most of you watching this video. After the PSP, they did the PSP Go, which was for PSP minigames. Comment below if you remember any PlayStation minigames. Then the PlayStation 3 had a camera, which came with iPad. Most people wish it was like a Tamagotchi that you could just let die. Then, PlayStation had a brilliant idea to look over at Nintendo and copy the Wii controller with the PlayStation Move controllers. Spoons with big balls on the end. They did light up in quite cool colours. If I wanted to play Killzone 3, why wouldn't I use a regular controller? Why would I want to pay 50 quid just to bowl with Jack, Sly and Ratchet on PlayStation Move Heroes? Another game that nobody's ever heard of. When the PlayStation Move came out, the big thing was how precise this light orb was. No one cared about how precise it was. The Wii controller was successful because of how easy it was and how cheap it was. You can use a Wii controller with 2 goddamn candles. Following the Move, the Sony tried to hand another handheld console, which was the PS Vita. I actually enjoyed the Vita as a kid. It had good hardware for a handheld, but the issue was it had no support. What's the point of a console if the best game is Uncharted Golden Abyss? And then Sony had the brilliant idea of taking the PlayStation Vita, which had no games, and making it into the PlayStation TV. So you could play PlayStation Vita games on your big 60-inch TV. Why would you want to do that? The whole point of a handheld console is so you can hold it in your hands. The PlayStation Vita was a very good idea, not backed up well. It had touchscreens on the front, back, and back. It had a camera. It had motion controls. It had the whole 12 yards, but it had no games. And then the PS4 came round, and Sony kind of just didn't really do much. It had a camera, and it had a tech demo for the camera, and it introduced Astrobot. But other than that, they didn't really try anything insane. Until, I remember this so vividly, PlayStation announced a VR headset. Wow. Wowee. 2016, Callum was psyched. I remember working all summer, saving up for one. You had the camera, you had the PlayStation Move controllers, and to complete the trifecta of crap, you had the PlayStation VR headset. The PlayStation VR headset, number one, was the most bulky, most disorientating thing to use. It felt like you were a Navi with the amount of wires coming out the back of your head. Using the VR1 headset, you couldn't look further than past there either side. What virtual world am I in? Charles Xavier's virtual world? No, I've got full neck and body movement. Why would Sony think with the PS5 a VR2 would have done any differently? I bet you just sat there thinking, oh, I'm just miserable. I hate all fun and whimsy in this world. But you are wrong, good sir. I love fun and whimsy. I love the idea of going to my favourite world and interacting with objects. But unfortunately, VR doesn't quite do that yet. I love the idea of a VR headset and VR games in general. But the idea is so much better than the execution. To show you why the VR is so bad, let me just set it up real quick. Make sure you have your trusty 30-meter fiberglass tape with you. Now let's get moving. There seems to be some things in the way. That should be enough space. One last thing. If you're playing the VR headset with multiple people, it's a bloody chore to get on. It's got so many straps and toggles, it feels like I'm back working at the theme park again. VR is all about immersion. It doesn't do a very good job of making you feel like you're actually part of the world. And that's because nothing has weight to it. I know that's quite impossible, and it's a big ask. Some games do manage it. Other games have no weight or no consequences at all. When I pick up a sword, I want to feel like I'm actually hitting something. Ah! But instead, sometimes I feel like I'm waving my arms like a madman. Another thing is, unfortunately, I'm just a mortal man. That means playing a VR game for more than 90 minutes, it's hard work. A traditional game, you can easily sit down for 3 to 5 hours on a night and play. It's all well and good playing some really good VR games, because I know I said I hate it, but there's some good games out there. Beat Saber's excellent. The Star Wars VR game on PSVR 2 is excellent. But standing up for 100 plus minutes with a screen attached to your face is a chore. And why would I put myself on a chore on something that's meant to be leisure? And another issue, being a bit over 6'2", is the roof isn't that far away. We used to have 4 of these glass things, but throwing it deep in NFL cost me a bulb. If you don't live alone, you're going to look like a maniac to the rest of your household. When I want to play my VR, I have to tactically time it for when I get the massive room in my house free. And that's hard. Or else I have people walking in thinking that I'm insane. And I don't want people to think less of me. I know multiple times in this video I talk about how I don't like VR. The main thing is I don't like VR games. I love VR for experiences. Put the headset on someone, put them in a 20 to 30 minute experience, and that is perfect. And it's why I think horror works so well in VR, because it's suited to a short playtime experience. VR2 loves to push its long narrative games. Like, I'd love to play the Metro game on it. I know I won't get past 25 minutes. And that's because it's such a chore to set up. I'll play it once, get tired after a bit, put it down, and then won't set it up again. And that's my main issue. At the end of the day, in 200 years' time, that's a bit ridiculous, in 50 years' time, I won't be wearing a headset when playing games. I'll be using a controller. And that's because perfection is perfection. Alright, I've been off the chest. Please leave a like and subscribe, and see you next time.